And now we go to Cardiff, where Mickey makes a return, Rose, the Doctor, and Jack meet up with him and have, a very good time. They sit down, having a good amount of banter with each other. Originally, Mickey and Jack don't get along, but they get along very quickly afterwards, like a house on fire. It's great. And then we find out a Slitheen has returned. So, with that, we'll start off talking about the plot. And what I could say about the plot is that ignore the main setting of how the Slitheen is now the mayor of Cardiff. You realise that ultimately she's been caught within the first 10-15 minutes. And then you realise that the rest of it is pretty much Margaret being held prisoner by the Doctor, Rose, Jack, and Mickey to take her back to Raxacorico Falabatorius to have her executed. And then great scene after great scene happened. Rose and Mickey talking to each other where Mickey is so obviously frustrated with Rose traveling and treating him like he's nothing, which, fair enough, Mickey deserves better. You got the Doctor and Margaret going out on a little date as a last meal request, I guess, from Margaret. And at that point, Margaret is just trying to beg for the Doctor to let her go after she has tried to kill him 3 times during that scene, which very well directed, by the way. And then we go back to the main plot where the rift starts opening and starting to tear open the planet, in which Margaret sees that and uses that her opportunity to use an extrapolator as a kind of surfboard to get off this quote-unquote godforsaken rock. Thanks, Margaret. And also hold Rose hostage so that way Jack and the Doctor need to do what she says. And that's when we're introduced to the heart of the TARDIS, where Margaret stares into it, all her worries disappear, and she reverts back to an egg. She's an egg. All in all, the plot is a bit clunky here and there. There are some missteps here, especially with the setting, but you do have some good scenes here, especially with Rose and Mickey and the Doctor and Margaret. Moving on to the characters, we'll start off with the Doctor. The Doctor bounces off all the companions he's with very well, and Margaret as well. Does have a bit of sass here and there, especially with this scene, but then we move on to Jack. Jack does take a bit of a back seat here, but he is, just like in the previous episode, quite vocal and seems to know what he's doing most of the time. Moving on to Rose. Rose is designed to be unlikable in this episode, and you know what? Fair enough. On a rewatch, when I got to this episode, I was starting to get really sympathetic towards Mickey, and so seeing that Rose is made to be unlikable here, that makes sense. But she got the choice to either travel with the Doctor or stay with Mickey. Who wouldn't travel with the Doctor? Let's be honest. Moving on to Mickey, you can't help feel bad for the guy. He is very obviously upset that Rose left him, and very obviously envious of the Doctor for being able to take Rose on these adventures. And then we go on to Margaret. Margaret is, of course, the Slitheen, and whilst I can pronounce her alien name, I'll be pronouncing it once, and I won't be mentioning it again because it is a long name. But Blonfal Foch Pasmidae Slitheen does a great job as blending into the Cardiff crowd, and then once she's caught, she somehow seems to come across as sympathetic. To come across as sympathetic is a great thing. Overall, though, this episode I have appreciation for. It sets up for the finale. There are important aspects of this episode. Ultimately, though, I wouldn't say this is a bad episode, but I'm not going to say it's a good episode either. I'll put it along the okay category. And with that, I think I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10. I do have appreciation for this episode. I have appreciated it in the more recent times of me viewing it. However, with it being sandwiched between the Empty Child two-parter and the finale, it's obvious this one was going to get overshadowed. And with that, we've reached the end of Boomtown and time to travel forwards into the future in which the Doctor, Rose, and Jack take part in game shows.